Hey everyone, and welcome to Sketching with Sarah. I'm Sarah, and today is part 3 of my sketchbook tour. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, I will have the links in the description to a sketchbook tour playlist, so you can see all of the other sketches in this book that I have shown on this channel previously. Before I get into this part, I just want to say thank you guys so much for over 30 subscribers. My goal for 2020 is to reach 50, so it would mean a lot if you could hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you enjoyed this video. So without further ado, let's get right on into part 3. This page was the planning stages for one of my illustrations in my illustration class. As you can see, there's tracing paper taped onto here. I actually taped it pretty well. Oh, never mind. So I can't really take it off to show you, but I was practicing doing a theater seating behind it from a reference photo, and then I added these characters on top of it with tracing paper so I could plan out the composition a little bit. So this is a binturong and a beaver. The idea for this illustration was that binturongs smell just like popcorn. They just have this odor that really smells like buttery popcorn or like corn chips or something. And I haven't experienced it for myself, but after watching the show that like described this, I was really inspired by it, so I definitely wanted to do something with this guy. And then upon looking up binturongs, I found this article that was talking about other animals that smelled like different foods, and a beaver came up, and they apparently excrete this goo that smells just like French vanilla, and I believe for a while they actually used this excretion to flavor things as French vanilla for a while. I'm not sure if they still do. I don't think they still do that, but they might in certain things. I don't really know. I didn't do very much research on that. But yeah, so the idea was I had these guys chilling in a movie theater, him eating some popcorn, and the beaver eating some French vanilla ice cream, and just having a grand old time. I'll pop the final illustration on the screen here so you can see how it ended up going from this to that. I definitely really went back in these characters and made them a little bit more expressive than they are now. That's for sure. Here's another preliminary kind of situation here for another illustration I was working on for my illustration class. I saw a show on Animal Planet and they were talking a lot about zebras, and I learned that mama zebras, when they have their young, they'll usually keep them separate from the herd for a while until it knows that the little one can recognize its mama from the rest of them. And I was just so inspired by that idea, because even when I was drawing this cluster of zebras over here for this initial sketch, I got really confused looking at the reference photo because I really didn't know like where one ended and where another one began. It was really hard to distinguish like if this was a butt or a shoulder. It was just very challenging. So I guess to them it's challenging as well to know who's who in a herd, if that makes sense. So I found that really interesting. These are such herding animals, and you would think that they would protect the young at a very young age and like surround it, but I guess the mama does take the young a little bit. I'm sure they don't go far away from the herd, but you know, separated enough so that the baby can learn what its mom looks like before they go in with the other zebras here. So I did this cute little one-panel comic situation where she's like, "No, sweetie, you know you can't run off and play with the others until you learn mommy's stripes." And the little one's like, "But mom, no buts. Now how many stripes are on my right ear?" 3. This is kind of cute, wholesome situation, and I'll pop the image of the final illustration here on the screen so you can see how it ended up. And it turned into like a very graphic designy look to it, which I really enjoyed, with like a text conversation element, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I'm pretty proud of this one. I really enjoyed how I shaded the animals themselves in a very shape-like manner, like I like to do for my digital illustrations. But in this one, like, I think the color scheme is what really made it very wholesome, very warm and wholesome. So I did skip a couple pages that had to do with some notes I had for my classes. But this next sketching page is literally goats. So I found out about Tamarind goats, which are these goats in Morocco that climb argan trees, I'm not really sure. But I found them so fascinating because it's so funny when you see like this giant tree canopy and then just like goats, like little ornaments on it. So I thought that was just so funny, and I had to get drawing it because something about me is when I get inspired by something or I find out something new about an animal that's really inspiring to me, I have to draw it because that's just like my way of commemorating it, if that makes sense. Like, even if no one sees this sketch, at least for me, like, oh cool, I learned this cool thing today, I'm gonna jot it down, like kind of a diary journal situation, kind of, if that makes sense. So yeah, this was the drawing I did of those Tamarind goats. Goats. You can barely see it. It's very, I don't know. You can kind of see it though. But yeah, I used some orange Colerase pencil, and some of the lighter Colerase pencils are harder to see. But I tend to like drawing in them more because they're lighter to see. It's nice for, you know, quick, loose sketches, because then I have the option to build on top of it if I choose to. So I apologize if you can't see super well, but I guess that's the reason. So I was so inspired by these that I did end up making a full-on illustration including these Tamarind Goats. And since I was so inspired by seeing that giant tree, like I said before, with the little ornaments of goats here and there, it got me thinking of either like a Christmas tree with like ornaments, or apple orchard picking, how like the fruits are in the tree, you know, very sporadically for you to pick them. So I ended up going with that apple orchard feel, and instead of having like a little kid picking apples from a tree, I had the little kid giving apples to the tree with some Tamarind Goats on the tree. And I thought it was just like a really cute, wholesome image that I came up with, and I'll pop the illustration here on the screen for you to see. But I'm actually particularly proud of this one because it's just so warm and inviting in the color palettes, and I'm really proud of some of the textures I was able to achieve as well. This was my sketch for the wagon that had the apples in it in my illustration. And then this is where I started sketching another idea, because I was thinking a lot about Aladdin and the magic carpet, and I thought it would be so beautiful to have like these majestic manta rays and then like have people on their back, like overlooking a sea, or not a sea, like a city. I guess a sea, that would make sense too. But like a cityscape, or maybe like an underwater cityscape. I just thought that was such a cool idea to play with. So these were some manta ray sketches that I did. And this is a more detailed thumbnail I came up with, and this was actually a reference photo, I believe, of a Arabian or Indian like cityscape. I think, I don't really remember, but this was kind of the base of what I was thinking. I wanted to kind of keep the Aladdin theme going and just have this magic carpet manta ray situation. But my plan was to kind of sketch out this reference and then really play with like maybe this would be a shell, or like these structures would look more like coral or something like that. So that was kind of my idea for going forward with that, and have like, I don't know, I really enjoy these sand dunes too, which I might have transformed in some way, or just had them be like water wave structures or something. I don't really know, but this was kind of a thumbnail idea for that. Unfortunately, I didn't end up creating this as a full illustration, but now that I'm looking at it now, I'm a little bit re-inspired to pick this up again and see what I can come up with. But yeah, that's the drawing for that. And here's just another drawing after I found out about the koalas have indistinguishable fingerprints from humans. So I drew a quick koala there and just wrote down, I think it was Hertfordshire Police Department in London Zoo. That's like one of, I think that was in the article that I found out about it, and that was the police department or something, like a case that had to do with that or something like that. I don't really remember. But this was actually my first YouTube video exploring the koala fingerprints, and I actually made this really badass criminal looking koala for that video. So feel free to check that out. It is on my Fun Fact Friday playlist. But this is the point where I started my YouTube channel, so I'll be skipping a lot of pages from now on, just because you can go see those whenever you'd like on my channel, and I don't want to take away from the rest of my sketches. So from my koala criminal drawing I did on the page before, which you can see in that video, I used Sharpie a lot, so there was a lot of bleed through, but I don't know, in my sketchbooks I try not to leave a lot of empty spaces. I try to use up as much of the paper that I can. So here I was watching Dalton Doodle's Twitch stream, and he was doing these adorable like cubed Pokemon, and I love Furret. It's one of my favorite Pokemon for sure. And this was the design that he did in his like poster that he did of all of the Pokemon in that region, like as boxes next to each other. It's such a cool design, and I still need to buy that poster. But I was really inspired by this. I thought that the way that he really scrunched up his character in here and it just made it such a boxed form to fit the rest of it was really cool. So shout out to Dalton Doodles on Instagram for that. He does a lot of really cool doodles. I don't know. He does a lot of really cool designs and things like that that are really interesting, and I really love how he exaggerates some shapes and things like that to make his art look pretty interesting. So alright, so this next page was actually where I was gonna restart my koala criminal video because the video cut out or something, or I think I ran out of memory. It was my first YouTube video ever, so I was still trying to figure out how the heck to do this on my phone, And so it was basically this one drawing until I realized that my phone didn't actually delete the previous footage, so I ended up just leaving this alone, not including it, and just stuck with my original footage. So I had all this empty space here, and I was watching I think it was Erica the Goober, and she was drawing this really adorable character with like sunflowers around her, and she had like these really big glasses on and like this cute outfit and stuff. And she was doing a live stream, and I was really inspired by those sunflowers. So I wanted to do something with that warm color palette that she's so good at. And also shout out to Erica the Goober. She's also on YouTube and Instagram. I really enjoy all of her illustrations. She has such cute designs of her characters, and her mermaids are beautiful. So I would really encourage you to go check her out if you haven't already. I'll have a link to the artists and the people that I mentioned in this video in the description, so please feel free to check them out. I usually don't mention creators unless I really stand behind them and what they do, so it would mean a lot to me for you to go check them out. So anyway, this is a sunflower situation with a ferrule, but a more like neutral one, so a lot of browns and stuff. And I think for this one I started out with just straight up using watercolor pencil and watercolor, or like a water brush pen, and just filling in that way. And then as I was watching the live stream, I just kept going further and further and further. So I ended up taking colored pencil and like really buffing out some of those darkness, and then I went in with micron pen and really did some shading and stuff, and then I went in with white gel pen and really did a lot of highlights and stuff. So overall it just turned into this really textured piece here, and I'm kind of in love with it. There was a lot of struggling along the way while I was trying to, you know, problem solve if I went too dark here, a little too light there, but overall I think it's a really satisfying drawing, and I'm loving this ferrule character. As you can tell, it's like a ferret with like a really long tail with a fin at the end, and I really wasn't decided if I wanted to be furry the whole way through, so I kind of just did it, and then I changed my mind, and then I changed my mind again, so I was very indecisive. So it's very like, I don't know, I feel like it's very hairy, but kind of not. I don't know how to explain it, but you be the judge, I guess. Thank you guys so much for watching part 3 of my sketchbook tour. This is quite a big sketchbook, and I did quite a lot of talking, so this will be broken up into one last part to finish up the rest of the sketches in this book. And like I said in the previous videos, I will be sketching out and designing a cover for this customizable sketchbook here after the final video of showing the rest of the sketches. So be sure to be on the lookout for that video. I do upload a new video every single Friday, and I'm very consistent with that, so you can definitely count on a video every Friday from me on this channel. If you can't tell by now, I do enjoy talking about animals and different interesting facts that I find out about them that I think you might be interested in too. Heck, I have an entire playlist of Fun Fact Friday videos where I explore a whole animal or elements of animals and just share some interesting things that inspire me about them. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for new content every Friday, as well as check out some of the links to my previous videos down in my description box below. And while you're there, follow me on some social media to keep up with me on other platforms. I also have some affiliate links down there of this sketchbook and other supplies that I used in the sketches I showed in this video, as well as links to the artists and other creators that I mentioned. So be sure to check those out while you're down there. If you made it this far, please leave me a comment and let me know which of these sketches in this part were your favorite. And if you've seen my other parts of the sketchbook tour, which of those sketches should I try to incorporate on my cover here when I do that design for the video after the finale? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.